Why are Democrats upset when fact is, if you listen to MAGA, Trump is merely trying to do what is required to make this great nation safe, ridding us of criminal migrants and gangbangers? Many are suggesting that the whole notion that the Democrats continue claiming that Trump is a threat to democracy or is going to roll this nation back to darker times is simply Democrat fear-mongering. He's doing what it takes to make the nation safe, up to and including sending violent immigrants to El Salvador. What's wrong with that? Perhaps they should have thought about that before illegally entering this country and engaging in a career of crime. Now, the Democrats are suggesting it's the lack of due process, but I want to play a clip to you. This is President Trump himself speaking to reporters on Air Force One. My opinion is this is a doozy because it is indeed telling. It gives you a clear vision into perhaps Trump of the future if we continue down the path of making America great again. So I do want to get your opinion on this. We know how folks have viewed sending immigrants to El Salvador. The Trump detractors despise it. The Trump supporters love it. But could it expand to other folks? This is where the whole claim that Trump is a threat to democracy originates. That first it'll happen to them, then it'll happen to you, and perhaps me. What the hell? Here is Trump on Air Force One.
The president there said he would be willing to take American citizens in the federal prison population. Is that one of the ideas that are going to be discussed?
Well, I love that. If we could take some of our 20-time wise guys that push people into subways and that hit people over the back of the head and that purposely run people over in cars, if you would take them, I'd be honored to give them. I don't know what the law says on that, but I can't imagine the law would say anything different. If they can house these horrible criminals for a lot less money than it costs us, I'm all for it. But I'd only do according to the law. But I have suggested that, why should it stop just at people that cross the border illegally? We have some horrible criminals, American grown and born. And if we have somebody that bops an old woman over the head, if we have somebody that is in jail 20 times and goes back and shoots people all over the place and then has a bad judge or a bad prosecutor that do nothing about him, all they worry about is politics, they don't worry about that. I think if we could get El Salvador or somebody to take them, I'd be very happy with it, but I have to see what the law says. Okay.
Wow, sending American citizens to do their time in a prison in a foreign country. A whole lot to unpack here. Now, in the defense of President Trump, he did state he was talking about folks who committed some pretty violent crimes. You hear him referencing pushing folks into subway trains, running folks over with cars, knocking people over the head. So he is talking about violent people getting sent to these penal facilities, not just your average thug or criminal. But keep in mind, that's exactly what he stated originally when it came to immigrants and undocumented residents, is that we're getting rid of rapists and murderers. Now we are all the way down to, well, that person did have a tattoo. He was a gang member or he associated with someone. So we've moved off of the rapists and murderers all the way down to merely what tattoo you have affixed to your body, and that is enough to send you away. So the question obviously is going to become is, if we allow this to happen to American citizens, is there a possibility that it could start with violent Americans, but just like with the immigrants, before you know it, he was a member of the Crips gang member or he was a member of the Bloods. So it starts one place, but it morphs off into something else. So I would certainly love to hear what you think in the comments if it's possible, or even if you support something like this. Because it is indeed cheaper to house inmates in a different country. But keep in mind, while we are talking about the cost savings, we do have to discuss what will happen to the actual American that was sent to the prison. First off, if you are ever incarcerated, you have a right to counsel. You have a right to your attorney. How much do you think it's going to cost to have your attorney come visit you in a foreign country to work on your case? Even a phone call with international rates attached is going to be really cost prohibitive. So your right to fight your case is going to be greatly restricted if you end up in another country, assuming your lawyer has the right to even travel internationally, him or herself. So keep that in mind. Second, this is something that most Americans would not give a damn about, but often you do have the right to it, which is if you're put in a facility, you have a right to see your family and friends occasionally. Occasionally, visits. Your mom comes and talks to you through glass or whatever. How much does that cost if anybody that comes and visits you has to fly to a foreign country to do so? Once again, assuming they have the right to travel internationally and that the country holding you allows them to come in. So your life is greatly degraded by switching from a penal institution in America to one in a foreign country. But last but not least, we have to point out something that happens even in this country. There's a hell of a lot of correctional officers that are often held accountable themselves, fired, disciplined, or even jailed for abusing inmates. Everything from simple assault, blackmail, up to and including rape. Correctional officers abuse inmates in America all the time. What happens? What are your rights if it happens in a foreign country? Who even has jurisdiction? Once again, you don't have access to much of anything if you're an inmate in another country, such as phone calls or even the ability to complain. So understand, jurisdiction for misconduct may be something that you're just out of luck on, giving that penal facility pretty much the right to do whatever the hell they want to you, which is what some are suggesting is happening in El Salvador. Last I checked, that prison down there, over 200 individuals die in that facility every year. So check that. Last but not least, I do want to point out, this should be obvious at this point. Undeniable. Fact is, if you cross President Trump, if he thinks you're a bad guy, whether criminally or even politically, that is your ass. That is your ass. If you get on the wrong side of Trump, it is your ass. You can ask Mike Pence in regards to January 6th. Trump didn't seem to give a damn whether he was safe or not. In modern times, Hunter Biden and certainly Ambassador John Bolton, who the Iranian government put a hit out on John Bolton's life. Now, he was Trump's ambassador, and the only reason the Iranians want to assassinate him is because he was doing things Trump told him to. Well, he fell out with Trump, and the minute Trump got reelected, he removed his security detail. Now, Trump states over and over again he has a mandate, but damn it, that mandate is to secure the border, end the wars, and get our economy back on track. He removed a security detail of his own people before doing any of the things that are in the mandate. Hell, he removed Ambassador Bolton's security detail before lowering the price of eggs. Same thing with Hunter Biden. So if you get on the wrong side of Trump, damn it, that really is your ass. Pete Hegseth could learn a lot from that, because Hegseth just recently authorized bombing the Houthis, another Iranian-backed outfit. If for some reason Hegseth and Trump fall out, Pete Hegseth could end up with no security, just like Ambassador Bolton. He needs to pay attention to that. But anyhow, in closing, violent Americans being sent overseas to foreign penal institutions. Something you agree with? What if you were made aware that you could house inmates for a fraction of the cost to U.S. taxpayers? Now, these are Americans, though. These are Americans that understand right now he's talking about violent felons, but there is a possibility that it could expand to not so violent felons in the same fashion it did with the illegal immigrants. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you in favor or are you against? Feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.